All rise for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Alvarez.
Here.
Councilwoman Eckhart.
Here.
Councilman Larka.
Here.
Councilman Lord.
Here.
Supervisor Hay.
Here. Notification exits in the front and the rear and electronic device, please put it on vibrate. First item on the agenda this evening, we have two public hearings, one on special permit for 577 North Main Street, and the second is Chapter 71 blasting. I make a motion to open the public hearing on the special permit for 577 North Main Street.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I waive the reading of the public notice. Sir, are you representing 577 this evening? Okay, would you like to come up and make some comments for the public? Sure.
Good evening. I'm Barry Haytoff, address 21 Croton Lake Road, Katona, New York, for the applicant 577 North Main LLC.
If you could, sorry to stop you, but if you could face the people, because it's a public hearing, that would be,
happy to.
you can turn that, I think, but,
He's got wheels.
yeah, there you go. Thank you.
I am a member of 577 North Main LLC, and here an application for special use permit for the property known as 577 North Main Street. Bart Lansky, a land use attorney, and my partner usually handles this part of our business, but couldn't be here tonight, so I will do my best. The special use permit is for a motor vehicle service station. The actual use is for repairs related to the taxi service that has been a tenant at the location for 10 years now, with no incidents to our knowledge, and they've been repairing their own vehicles there for that 10 years. Our property backs up to the Metro North Railroad, and there is also a significant buffer between us and all neighbors on all sides. The Quonset hut, built in 1947, where the repairs are performed, cannot be seen from the road. We ask that you grant approval for a special use permit, and I hope to be able to answer any questions you may have.
No, I'm hearing walkie-talkie out there. Okay, it's open for public comment. I know the board will be making most of the comments, so we can go over that with you. Anyone here to speak to that, or you want the board to, let's the board start our discussion.
Okay.
Okay, you mentioned motor vehicle repair, and it's for the taxi business only, is that
Correct.
Okay. Now, when we write up the special permit, that provision will be in there. There'll be no privately owned vehicles allowed to be repaired there?
No privately owned vehicles, only the taxi vehicles that are serviced out of that
Right,
business.
which if you have a, station wagon, you've got a van, but only for the business itself. That, I mean, this is what we're gonna be writing into the specifications.
That's acceptable. That's what we're looking for.
So it'll be taxi repair only, no privately owned vehicles repaired there. Now, there is discussion and we had spoken about this earlier, is about the hours of operation. Now, let me hear what your thoughts are, and we'll tell you what mine is. I know someone else that doesn't agree with that, but that's beside the point. We're gonna decide what hours of operation are you looking for?
To our knowledge, there's been no limitation to the hours in which they might do repair, since it cannot be seen from the road. The neighbors would not be impacted by it. On either side, the back, which is the Metro North Railroad, the vacant property on one side, and the pizza oven business on the other side. It's totally, and I can show you a picture, can't be seen, and nobody would be bothered. So we'd like to not have any restriction, but we understand that you may
You
need
will
to
have
put it
some
in.
restriction.
Okay, then, we'll take it.
Now, first, again, being in a business of taxis, you're open 7 days a week, so I'm in favor of not having a problem having it 7 days a week. I know people want to see it closed on Sunday, but if you got vehicles on the road and they gotta be repaired, I think it has to be open. But this is what the board will discuss this evening, and my recommendation would be from 6 to 6. 6 in the morning to 6 p.m. Now, someone else can make another, not a motion, we'll be discussing it, and then when it gets written up, we'll decide. If there's any time, it could be open 24 hours, 7 days a week, which I don't favor personally. So I'm going for 6 to 6. Lynn?
What, are there any, there's no residential in your building, correct?
Correct.
And there's no residential any closer, because it's...
That is correct.
Okay.
It's all industrial.
Okay, and I went over and had a tour, and it was really neat as a pin and everything. What's the square footage again? I'm sorry, I can't remember.
Approximately 2,500 square feet.
Okay, and is it only, there's only one occupant?
Half of the Quonset hut is the taxi service, and half of it is a spray wash restoration business,
And what is that?
like a pressure washer, pressure washer company.
Okay, and they just store things there? Or do
Uh,
they do washing there?
No, they just store things there.
Could you come up here for 1 second?
Sure.
This is the Quonset hut?
That is correct.
Okay. Half,
Half is the taxi
Yeah.
service,
Right.
and half is the power washer.
okay. And these spaces here are for,
This is the taxi service.
okay.
We
Okay,
really,
so-
right now, they're all there.
Yeah, you're gonna, yes,
Right.
okay. So just so you know, with your
Yes.
drawings,
Yeah. I
right
have
here,
it.
that's
Yep.
the other.
No, I
these-
remember seeing it, yeah.
Okay, and these are parking spaces.
We
Okay.
couldn't get in one side, I think, but, and so they will not be servicing any of this outdoor storage equipment?
Correct.
Okay. Let's see.
And if I may, my only
Yes.
comment about the hours is that in the summertime, when it's light until very late, beyond 8 PM, that might be an only consideration if maybe we can go till 8 PM.
Okay. The only thing I will say, because I live near someone who does work on cars extensively, and they're a few doors down, but I know there's not residential here, but there sometimes is lots of engine revving. Fortunately, I think you face away from anyone it would bother, but that concerns me in the evening hours, because that's when I have it, and it is disruptive, I think. But I know this is a very different area, so I think that's all the questions I have right now.
Okay, so based on that comment, I'll change my hours to 6 to 8.
Thank you.
That's fine, I'm not convinced, but let's
No,
let
no,
other
I mean,
people
we'll
ask questions.
just talk about it and
Right.
see what other ones have
Yeah.
to say.
Edwin?
Eric?
Oh,
I mean,
I was gonna suggest until 9 PM, just because I thought the same thing, like, I know Mavis is open till like 8:30, and, people still dropping off, picking up cars sometimes, and again, if you got a 24-hour operation in regards to taxis, they break down at any time, so,
What's the name of the taxi service?
but,
Brewster Taxi.
It's Brewster Taxi, okay.
yeah, so I'm good, I was gonna
okay,
suggest
6,
until 9 PM.
I'll change
but-
my time to Matt, Edward, 6 to 9. Is there 6 to 10? No.
Thank you.
6 to 9 sounds reasonable.
Will you have storage inside the building?
Not inside the Quonset hut, no.
How many bays will there be to service cars?
There's one opening. It's a sliding door that opens pretty wide. I don't believe I've seen any more than one car in there at a time, but maybe they can get 2 cars in there. They're not traditional bays like you would see in a service station.
And all the repairs will be done inside the Quonset hut?
Inside, correct.
Okay, so you can only service one at a time, is what you're
Yeah,
saying?
maybe they can get 2.
think they can get
I'm not quite sure. I think the doors open wide enough where you can probably get 2 in, but I've never seen more than 1 in there at a time.
How
Do you have
many-
lift? Sorry.
How many cars are in the fleet?
I don't know the answer to that.
Well, I think that would matter, really. Would you look to expand the size of your service facility if the fleet increased?
No, we have no plans to expand the Quonset hut or to give them any additional space, so no.
And I'm not sure, does the outside storage come into account as to how many cars they have?
That's up to the,
That's up to the planning
This
board.
is, that's all the outdoor storage.
but that storage that's marked there as outside storage is not part of this application.
Right.
What they're looking for is parking is
Parking
right
there.
here.
Yeah, all there.
Yeah.
Is it a licensed inspection station too, or not?
I think the answer is yes, but I'm not sure.
I checked with the state, they don't have to be though.
Right, but I was curious on that.
Is there a lift inside the building?
Don't know.
Wow, you're not very prepared.
I know.
I-
I'm sorry.
I
was
thought I
last-
saw-
It was-
And only 2 bays to do repairs? If you get caught doing repairs outside, we're not gonna look too kindly upon it. You're here tonight making an application, and you're saying all the repairs are inside, you can't fit more than 2 cars in there?
Correct.
Wow.
I would think you, it looked to me, although it would be tight to maybe get, but not to work, I think you could get 2 in there to work on, but not more than that.
Yeah, but they must
I
have
just
a
think
fleet of
that-
10 cars, 15 cars.
Do they have an office there? Or is this strictly for repairs?
Strictly for repairs. They may have an office inside, inside the Quonset hut. I know there's a bathroom, but
I just imagine that if you have a taxi service, you hopefully don't have more than 2 broken down cars all day long every day.
and I don't think the fleet is that large. I apologize, I don't know the answer to that question.
Do they park there when they're not in use? You better know this one.
On top, not in the back, but on top in the regular parking spots.
Right.
I've seen cars there, yes.
Okay. When it gets lined back here, will those cars be able to be parked in the back, or do they have to be parked out front?
Right now, they're parked up front. I
Right.
don't know what the restriction is, or limitation is.
Okay.
You know, like I said, this is usually Bart Lansky's thing, and he normally does this, but just couldn't be here. Sorry about that. I just don't know some of these answers.
So it's already operating as a?
Yes.
Has
service
been for
repair?
10 years, yes.
And without permit, or was that, are we trying to correct something?
He didn't own the building, so I don't think anyone could really answer the question.
Right, we
Okay.
purchased the building about 8 months ago,
Okay.
so we're doing what we need to do.
And does the taxi service have offices within the other building?
Not in our building, no.
Okay, so it's only just for vehicle repair, that's the only
Correct.
reason that they're there?
Right.
And also for parking?
Right.
Okay.
No,
Okay, so, to run down.
Can I say one thing? And we'll talk about this when it comes in front of us, but my biggest question here is I mean, it's really very neat and very nice when I went and looked. It was very impressive. But my concern is always monitoring it in future, so. but
That's why
we
I'm
don't-
warning now. That's one other question we have when we're done. What should be the penalty when you don't follow the rules?
I don't even know where to begin.
Well, you know we can pull the special permit, which is
Right.
kind of rare,
Okay.
but,
We can,
yeah,
for what cause?
for the cause, we're gonna write up what the rules are.
Okay,
So if we find out they're doing, regular repairs, they're not just for the business itself, if they're
So
repairing
this doesn't
vehicles.
necessarily have to run with the property, like a variance?
I don't know. Will, does a special permit run with the property?
Doesn't have to, right?
It doesn't have to.
Okay.
It's a special permit is, can be limited by time, it can be limited as to occupant.
Yeah.
But it should be in the resolution that grants the special permit. Any conditions or limitations should be spelled out.
Okay, and we're gonna read those off.
Yeah.
So, a lot of times people come in and get permits and, everything's nice, and then once they get in, guess what? They don't follow the rules. So I can tell you, if I'm sitting there will be penalties, because we've given not too many special permits that haven't adhered, but from time to time they go astray. In this area here where, like you say, you can't see it, there'll be eyes watching.
We plan on following the rules. I mean, we're putting a lot of money into the building. I hope you've passed by and have seen it, and we plan on owning it for a long time. And they're not the biggest tenant that we have, so we don't want to have any problem with the town over a small tenant that they're happy there. They've been there for 10 years. They serve the community. We're happy to have them. They pay their rent on time. So who would want to kind of mess with that? We appreciate the consideration. And we'll help police the effort for sure.
Okay, so from what I gathered from what you said this evening, the special permit will tax repair only. No privately owned vehicles to be repaired there.
Correct.
It'll be from 6 to 9, 7 days a week for repair, and repair inside only.
okay. The other thing, would you only be repairing your own, or would they only be repairing their own fleet, or would they be repairing other taxi companies?
Only their own cars.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, my questions would be, if you can find out before we vote on this, if the other if the taxis can park behind there once you've got the line, the lines in and everything, it would look much nicer out front, in my opinion, it would look nicer out front, because the building looks so much better now. And then if you can find out whether or not, I'm just curious whether it's an inspection station as well. But that would be helpful before we vote on it.
Will, can we identify the name of the taxi company? I mean, the taxi company can always merge with another taxi
Right.
company, so to speak. Can we identify the taxi company in the resolution, or with, you know, if they sell it to someone, that's not a problem. But we don't want like XYZ taxi, ABC taxi, and X,
I think that'd be a little bit more difficult from a legal perspective, but we could limit it to a taxi company. It doesn't.
okay. Well, we would say that, yes. We
But see,
already,
it's the question is the repair facility. It's not so much it's a taxi company, it's a repair facility.
repair of the taxis for this particular taxi company only.
Yeah, I mean, you could, I'd have to look into that. a
You
little bit.
think on it, okay.
I think,
And you did reference Brewster Taxi, did you not?
Correct.
Yes.
Because there's, you know how many taxi companies there are there? 5, I mean, in the village, 5, 6,
I don't know.
10? There's a bunch.
I would want to limit the hours of service to 6 to 6 again, and Monday through Friday. Only because if we're giving a special permit to this group, and someone else comes in for a special permit, they'll be looking for the same 24-hour or 7 days a week and 6 to 9, and I'm not sure if this will fit everywhere.
Well, it's not going to. That's why it's a special permit for this location, 6 to 9. If it was located right next to a residential neighborhood, which it's not. There's a few houses across the street, but
Yeah.
further down the road, this is a unique location. As far as only 5 days a week, they run 7 days a week, so that would really create a hardship on them. So I would stay with the 6 to 9, unless there's anyone else that wants to make that change. Now, when we actually vote on it, you know, you can make a change at that point in time.
Okay?
But I would not go 5, I would give them 7 days.
I can understand Saturdays, Sundays, but I can,
Being closed or not allowing them?
I understand that they need to have it open, but, as I said, my main question is gonna be on monitoring it. And also, I've had concerns all the way along, which I know we discussed at the staff meeting, was because they're close to wetlands, I just wanna make sure that, there's no, contamination at all.
Okay, well, that's be
That's
up to the DEC to monitor and whether they do there accordingly.
I mean, as I said, I was very, if anyone has a chance and you're there and could show them, it is really very, kept very clean.
Okay.
And that was impressive to me, but though, that was my major concern earlier.
Okay, so we're gonna write it up
Yeah.
accordingly. Anyone else from the public on this matter? We'll write up as we decided here this evening. There could be a change during the vote if, you know, they want to close, but I don't see that happening, but you never know. But that's the way we'll write it up, and it'll be, the next meeting is December what?
4th. 5th.
5th.
December 5th? It'll
least
be
it's
on
on
the
here
agenda
as
for approval or disapproval?
Looks like we have someone.
Come on, don't be afraid, not like you.
Hi, Peter Bell. As I understand it, Brewster Taxi owns Brewster Taxi, I think Segundo Taxi, and maybe a couple of other names. So it might behoove the petitioner to give you all the different names that are under Brewster Taxi. Because if you go there and see a South Segundo Taxi, you're gonna say, wait a minute, it's a different taxi company.
Sir, is he correct in that statement?
I don't know.
Wow, you've got to get
I'll
prepared.
find out and get back to him.
So should we leave the public hearing open, or?
No, when we go to vote on it, we can say yea, nay, or hold it over.
Well, I'd like to have all the answers before we vote on it.
Well, you will.
Good.
And if you don't like it, you vote no, and if you do, it's yes. But that, I never heard that before. That's why I asked you about different names.
Right, I totally understand the question, I just don't know the answer.
And they're
Do you know
all-
about how many cars a week are worked on? Do you have any idea? I bet you don't.
I'm sorry. I'm a
I know,
fixated at the last
I'm just
second.
teasing you, so.
So just to be clear, there are 3 questions that we're gonna get back to you on. Getting all the names, thank you for that. Can the taxis park in the back once the lines are created
Right.
in the back? And is it a licensed licensed inspection
inspection.
station.
And I would like to know roughly how many cars a week that are serviced. That will help establish hours, although I know the
Depends on how many
hours.
break down.
Yeah,
You
I
might have a good
know, I
week, you might have a bad
know.
week.
Don't they break down just between those hours?
No,
So the special permit will be written that because this is a special location and define,
no, it's a special permit, it'd be identified as 577. Let's say 6 months from now, another taxi company or another place wants to do whatever kind of repair.
right,
It'd be written specifically for the site based on whatever comments we made.
Right, and it has to be for that half of the building, not for the whole building.
Like if you go out on North Brewster Road, there's a deli, there's Mavis Tire, and there's another building there that used to be a gas station way back in the old days. And now it's got a garage and whatever. Now, if they wanted to make a service repair place there, which I believe they might be able to based on the zoning code and pre-existing non-conforming use, we could say in a special permit, no Saturday, Sunday repairs, nothing after 6 o'clock. I would limit that because it's right in the middle of a residential neighborhood. But where this one's located, it's a long way from anybody.
probably about 500 feet.
Yeah, that's a good distance.
Excuse me.
And behind it.
Mr. Hay,
Yes.
did you say that you checked with the Department of Motor Vehicles and they said they didn't require
I
a
believe-
licensed repair shop?
They don't have to be licensed to repair motor vehicles, as long as they're working on their own vehicles.
Correct. So that may be one of the conditions you want to put in
Right.
there, that they will not apply for a license to repair motor vehicles.
Okay, that's why I got you here, thank you.
Good
Okay.
idea.
Now you got 5.
I'm sorry?
5 contingencies coming into it. What did,
So if they had a license, they'd have to give it up.
I see. Okay.
we're limited to the words that you speak.
Or will speak.
Any other public comment? Seeing none, I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, next one is Chapter 71 blasting. Make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Waive the reading of, all in favor?
Aye.
Waive the reading of the notice.
Aye.
Okay. Ms. Finizzi, I believe you're here for that. I have someone that asked us to read something in the record, now we'll discuss it accordingly.
Good evening, Ann Finizzi. I submitted a Town of Bedford blasting code because in downloading the code for the town of Southeast, I thought I had made an error because all I got was 1 page, and it appeared to be a bit skimpy and needed really some fleshing out of major points. For example, the town of Bedford, for example, has blasting plans, very specific. They're 8 pages, and as a matter of fact, in addition to Bedford, I also downloaded the plan from the town of Amherst, New York. There are many plans that are available, and that particular town also has sections in which they are monitoring carbon dioxide, various kinds of toxins and chemicals, and considering the fact that we have unexplainable lung cancer incidences where people are afflicted who are non-smokers. And the consensus around the scientific community is that there are dust and particulates that are constantly in the air that we ingest, and after a certain number of years, some unfortunately are afflicted then with lung cancer. So I earnestly hope that the town, in addition to maybe firming up hours of operation distances. Each of these towns have at least 500, some towns have 600, some towns have 700 distances, you know.
Ours
with-
is 1,000.
Is it?
1,000.
Yeah, I'm just saying, yes, I realize that. But I think that in addition to that, for example, the town of Amherst has blasting operation requirements, procedures, restrictions. They talk about contractors, they talk about dust and particulates and so forth. I didn't hand in the Amherst, but I will hand it in. They even have a section on particle velocity, how much distance particles can travel, and so forth and so on. They have, obviously, they must have maybe apartment houses or something of that kind, where the contractor has to continuously monitor the carbon monoxide. There are a lot of sections in these town codes that, with new scientific research, really, have particular attention to what is being emitted from. There's even in the town of Bedford, I think you saw there was a pre-blast inspection. There's a blasting plan. There is the requirement for inspection of property in case there are uneventful occurrences in terms of property being destroyed and so forth and so on. So I'm just urging that the town fill in, these are the bones. To me, when I looked at it, it was the bones, and that we fill it out so that we have a full body blasting code. Because in some of the areas, I almost thought that the town was being mined and not only blasted. And the DEC also has pretty rigorous and pretty stringent requirements in terms of mining and procedures for mining operations. So I urge that the town board look at this again for a more robust blasting code, if not mining code, by the way.
Yeah, I would say that, just so you know, I worked on this, and it was not the will of the board at the time, and hopefully they will change their mind, on a blasting plan and things. It was kept very, very simple. I understand exactly where you're coming from. I would like to see something on mining added. I think
Yes.
that would be, that might be even
Right.
better.
Right,
or
and-
in addition to, so.
Right, and since I've been involved with the town of Kent and their problems with mining and so forth,
Right.
so this has now come uppermost in my mind, and here we have the town of Southeast, so we may have to expand our subject area, you might say, so that to include mining, blasting, and so forth. So I thank you very much, and I will hand in the Amherst tomorrow morning. Michelle, thank you very much, and I want to thank the town clerk, Michelle, who has been always so cooperative and in obtaining information for me, and also the supervisor. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay.
Do you have any questions? I'm sorry.
No,
I don't know, John.
no, we're,
I just look forward to seeing the Amherst study, that's good.
Excuse me?
I look forward to seeing the Amherst study when you send it to Michelle.
I have one copy.
well, that's not, we're not gonna be reviewing it this evening. So you provided Michelle?
I'm sorry, didn't have sufficient copies.
No, not a problem. We'll scan it and they'll all get it. Not a problem.
Thank you.
I have been approached about, mining as well. Right now, I believe, based on what's been happening over the past 6 months, we have an immediate need for a change, and that's pretty much what I think we're doing at this point in time. We will look into it in the future. Some towns have extravagant plans. their enforcement, you know, you can have all the laws on the book, but if you don't have the personnel to do the enforcement, we don't have a lot of blasting going on, which is fortunate. There was one site, and we're trying to tighten up, I believe, what we currently have. So I can tell you in the future, at some point in time, we'll be looking at increasing the blasting portion and mining. But for this evening, I just want to get something in place, because right now it's a 30-day notice, and I think it's way, way too far out. And again, the recommendation before, what do you,
I'm sorry, I just remembered something.
go ahead.
There should be also included a post-inspection after the blasting has completed its operations, or the mining has completed its operations, of residents. And residents should be notified, those that are affected within the 1,000 feet, which is very, very good and very generous, that, you know, that residents be alerted. I recommended to the folks in Lake Carmel that they take pictures prior to the blasting operation of their homes and foundations, in case anything untoward could happen, so that they have pre and post, in case that, you know, untoward events happen. So again, it's not included, as I see it. Maybe it's included someplace else, but as I see it in the current blasting plan. So the residents need to be informed. They need to have their homes photographed, and you know, the building inspector should. I think in Amherst or Bedford, the building inspector goes to the various homes after the operation to be sure that nothing has happened.
Thank you. Okay, so when we discussed this early on, as you know, right now, the way it is, it's 30 days notice. Now, a 30-day notice went out just recently saying there was going to be blasting this month, but of course it was, the EC made a decision that it would not take place after a certain time. So the letter went out, because it's kind of a generic letter that goes out 30 days prior to blasting, and it lasts the entire month. And like I read the last time, one blast took place on the 1st of the month, and it took place on the 30th of the month, which means it could have gone any other day. I'm going to read something into the record here this evening from a Margaret O'Meara that lives very close to that site, who's had difficulty. So what we're trying to do is limit the amount of time. I had recommended 72 hours at the max, 24 hours, and a text or an email, you know, the day of to the residents, as well as that, you know, the horn sounding. And she states in here that she doesn't recall hearing a horn, but, you know, she could have the vacuum going, or may have been coming home from a store. So the recommendation would be for 72-hour max, 24-hour minimum, and it'd be done by text or email.
Yeah,
24 hours prior to. Now, right now, it's by letter only.
That's too little.
What? Yeah,
72, it should be.
ma'am, if you want to speak, come up, please. Let us finish our conversation, and you can argue with us. Let us finish our comments. Let us, you had a chance, let us.
Oh, I thought you mentioned.
No, not right now. Let us finish ours, then you can come back up. Okay. Now, 72 hours, but they still have to notify the person the same day by text or email when it's supposed to happen. They have to be notified.
Yeah, I think what Ann is trying to say is that if you give people more notice, if they have something delicate they want to remove, or they have more time to plan, I think that's her point.
Well, but the more time you have, the less, so you want to go.
Well, no, I see what you're doing. I see what you both are doing, and it's good. But I think Ann's trying to give people a little more notice, and you're trying to let them know how immediate it is. So I understand.
So you
both.
want one letter to go out how many days? A letter to go out what? Beginning of the month? on or about? Because they don't know exactly when they're gonna blast.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the month knowing, but I agree with you that it should be much more immediate as to when it really happens, so that you're not waiting around all month until the 28th. I know what you're trying to do.
So
You're trying to
letter-
make it much more
Okay,
user-friendly.
so letter 30 days in advance
Yeah.
at the minimum?
Yeah, yeah, I think
And
people,
that-
yes,
and
so
that-
that people aren't surprised, like,
No.
oh my God, yeah. I think Ann meant that, and it does make sense, and then your idea of immediacy, so people say, oh,
Remember.
it's in November, but it's gonna be November 5th, and they know that, that's gonna be very helpful for people.
I had suggested every 15 days, but to Willis's point, what they were gonna do then is just send one out, like I'm making it up, one on the 15th and one on the 16th. So I thought we had compromised and said we'd send it out 14 days prior.
A letter?
Then with the 72 hours notice and the 24.
Okay,
So
so,
72 and 24 would be by text or email.
okay, so the letter is gonna be 14 days?
That's
No.
what I
Or
would
15 days?
suggest.
Do you wanna listen to what Ann has to say on
No,
this?
no. Let's, just,
He's just kidding, really. You have a good idea? Okay, cool. Come on up.
you've had plenty of time for a good idea. Come on, let's go.
You just have to stand there, Ann, that's the deal.
How is the notice transmitted?
Which notice? We're talking right now, that's what you're,
Yeah, how
Yeah, but
is,
how, right now, do they all get a letter?
They get a letter.
It's
is it
sent to them.
certified?
No.
no.
Should be certified.
Nah.
That should be certified. I mean, look, you're having,
What we're gonna do
you're
is-
having
ma'am,
blasting occurring in your backyard,
What we're proposing is better than a certified letter, trust me. They're gonna have to get the person's email address or their phone number to be texted.
So the idea is to send a certified letter either 14
somebody's going
days
to
or-
come over here and say they never got notice. You send it certified, just like you have, if you have a secret hearing or something of that kind. That this, everybody knows, everyone within the blasting sector has received notice. At least if you have two, at least one of the notices should be certified.
Oh. Okay, let's continue. Certified? I mean-
I think everyone did receive it. I understand Ann's point, but, this wouldn't have been a hassle because there were so few people to notify, but I know if they're near a condo or, well, I
Yeah,
know
it's
we have the
gonna-
condo thing
Right,
too,
right.
so, but.
I think the initial letter is fine, and then you're letting that is the initial notification at 14 days. People still complain at 30 days, because then they forget that they got the letter 30 days ago. So to the point of you're getting a text or an email the day of and 72 hours prior, I don't think it gets any better than that.
Anyone else?
Right now, the issue that brought it to a head was the blasting that was going on up on Barrett Hill,
Yes.
and that's over with.
Wait, don't say Barrett Hill.
It
It's
wasn't buried.
Terravest,
Terrace.
Yeah.
but I think it was
It's Holmes Road, Holmes Road.
Holmes
Yeah,
Road,
yes.
but that's over with.
It's over. Yes.
So, but it's.
But there, again, it wasn't,
Kind of learned a lesson.
yes, we learned a lesson, that's why we're doing this like emergency thing in a sense, and then over, early next year, we'll start reviewing mining and increased enforcement.
I guess the question is, that, when you're trying to be practical about it, if the, person blasting sends out a letter a month, they have to ask to collect their, email address, text, or whatever.
It'd be their responsibility to get it
Right.
done, yes.
But
Chris?
that's why it would have to be out it would have to be at least a month out for them to, I would think, to.
Could we handle it through our alerts? So.
Oh, wait, time out. I correct. You know what, it says right here. It's already sent out, certified mail and receipt to all these individuals. It's already in there.
So it's already certified.
Okay. It says here, certified and receipt. I don't know if it's written that way, but that's the way it's done. And in this particular case, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
not many.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 homes. And when we increased it from the 300 to the 1,000, we only picked up 2 additional parcels. It's kind of remote, but it's not remote. So that part, maybe it's not written in there, maybe, I don't think it's probably written, but we'll write in there. It's already being done. And again, texting and email is be required to be done. It's not a big deal. I mean, these guys, all they gotta do is set up in the computer once, push a button, and do it. We do it with notices of our meetings, they can do the same thing. And this was unusual, what was being done. Once in a while, so, 1 or 2 blasts, and of course, at one point in time, where Home Depot was, they had that was kind of considered mining, but nothing got done well, so. Okay. Okay, so let's see if we agree on something here. And I believe we've got 14 days by mail, 72 and 24 hours by text, or it would be the person's choice, either texting them or by email. And they want to provide the email address to the.
Or by, I think you have to have by phone call. I know we don't like it as much, but there will be people that don't want text or email. I mean, there could be people, so.
And how are they gonna get notified?
Some people might want a phone call. And I know we don't like it because there isn't proof, but there are older people that just
Okay.
don't text or email.
So it's it'd be
It would be their choice, right?
What do you call them?
The homeowner's
Homeowner's choice,
or resident's choice.
Yeah.
resident's choice. Resident's choice. Michelle, if you're taking good note. Okay, resident's choice of how they want to be notified.
Yep.
Okay. Any other public comment? Michelle will go over that tomorrow. And we'll put it on.
And you
for
need
the-
to read that letter into the
Yes, okay, thank you for reminding me.
record.
Okay, this is from Margaret O'Meara. I would appreciate it if you would read my comments regarding the proposed local law to amend Chapter 71 of the Town of Southeast Explosive and Blasting to be heard at the town board meeting on 11/21/2019. Due to a doctor's appointment, I'm unable to attend this meeting, but I have a few comments to share with the members of the board. I have lived at 44 Holmes Road since 1972, and for the past few years since the property at the rear became a stone quarry, the noise of rocks being ground starting at 7 a.m. every weekday has been unrelenting and at times unbearable. On top of this, the blasting, which occurs without warning, I have yet to hear the horn that they say will sound, shakes my whole house, and I feel affects my well structure also. When my well was inspected a few weeks back before the pumping test on the 2 wells at Terrace 3, Phase 3, it was determined that my well would not be included in the testing because the soil had leaked into the well, covering the casing and rendered unsuitable. When my well was last used, it was similar tests beginning on October 15, 2002. There was no problem. The testing was done by Mill Drilling, Brewster, New York. I would very much appreciate the town letting the residents of Holmes Road and Ice Pond Road know if and when we can expect to have the right of quiet enjoyment of our homes in the future. Well, in this particular case, I can tell you this evening, and we will notify her tomorrow, that as of October 31st, it has ceased. And the blasting in that area is done. And that's
The
through.
blasting
Tony-
is done, but maybe not the grinding.
Yeah, if there's still rock crushing. and
They have to
that's
do
what-
that, they have to do that. There's another date that the DEC announced. Let me
Right.
find it.
Okay, because that's why we really need mining on the books, because that's really loud, too.
Okay, so the DEC, they went to court on this, okay? The DEC made a recommendation. Blasting had to end by October 31st, which is passed, and by April 30th, 2020, on-site processing ceases. So after April 30th of this year, that site cannot be, if you want to call it mining or whatever, it's not going to be taking place.
That's a lot, I mean, that's a long time. That's why, I mean, I know that they're,
That's a court order. They
I
agreed
know,
it.
I know that, but that's why I think this town, and I won't be here, but I really think.
You'll be here. Not
Well, I'll
here, but you'll be
right,
here.
I'll be here, but I really think.
You're going to be
mi-
out there. That's going to be worse.
It will be much worse. But I think we do need a mining ordinance,
Well,
because,
we will start working on it.
okay,
Well, if I could point out something.
Yeah.
Mining is usurped by state law.
okay.
The Mine Land Reclamation Act, which is a state law, supersedes all local laws with regard to mining operation.
Okay.
The particular operation that you're talking about currently off of Holmes Road or Zimmer Road or whatever you want to
Right.
call it, was a site, a permitted site plan that was approved by the town planning board. And as I understand it, they were not considered a mining operation because of that fact. There was some litigation that went on
Yes, it was, yeah.
as to what happened, but I think ultimately it was determined it was not a mining operation, it was not under the jurisdiction of the state DEC,
Right.
just for the record.
Right. But if then, can anything be enforced by, just by decibel? If this isn't mining, then,
Well, if we have a decibel, we have a noise ordinance.
but that's what I mean, I know that,
We
so.
already have a noise ordinance. You don't
I
need
know,
a
so
mining
can,
operation,
no,
a
so,
mining code.
I guess my question is then, if they're going to crush rock until April, can we enforce our noise ordinance?
Absolutely.
Okay, then that's
Well,
really what,
that's a good point. I mean, I'm not so sure. They may take the position that it's that they've got permission endorsed by the state, that what is going on right there, right now. I don't want to say that, yes, you can, and then
right,
ultimately
Determined by the laws.
be shown otherwise.
Is it?
Settlement, I think so.
But my sense is that if they are exceeding decibel levels,
right,
then, and we were able to prove that, then we could file violations against them under our town noise code.
right,
You could ask Mike Levine to check with DEC.
yeah. Because
So
it sounds
we-
horrible for this woman.
we
Just
could
talk
ask-
more into the mic too.
So we could ask Mike Levine to check with DEC, because they're the ones who brought the suit, and
Well, the decibel reading, we have a decibel reader at the town, so if someone calls up, makes a complaint about the noise, they can go out, go to the property line the best they can and take a reading. We've done that before.
but I don't know if we have any jurisdiction on that, because it's governed by the state, right?
Well, they, as I understand it, they conceded that it was not a mining operation subject to the mine land reclamation law. If there's something in that stipulation that says that they have to keep noise below a certain decibel level,
Okay.
I haven't read the stipulation in order to the extent that I can tell you, everything that's in it. But I believe, I understand that it was considered a settlement
Yes.
rather than
Yeah.
going forward. The state took the position that it was an illegal mining operation. The owner of the property took the position that it was a site plan, and that they were in the process of fulfilling the requirements they needed to bring the property or the site into conformity with what was approved by the planning board.
Yep.
So,
But that doesn't, I mean, DEC might have ruled that way, but that doesn't mean if it exceeded decibel levels, in other words, could they have to?
I think if they were running an operation there that exceeds the current decibel and noise ordinance in our town, then I think you could still
Enforce that.
enforce that.
Okay,
But it means, filing a notice of violation,
right,
issuing a summons, bringing them into court, proving a case that they are in fact exceeding the noise limitations, and in that instance, fining.
right.
Any other public comment? You look like you're ready to jump out of your seat. Jump. Over here, please, just so we can all hear you.
I don't know if they received a DEC permit to mine.
They have not.
They have not.
No, and the argument, the case that was litigated was whether or not they were required to have a permit.
Uh-huh.
And it was ultimately ruled they were not required to have a permit, but they settled the case under the stipulations that Mr. Hay was referring to, that the blasting ceased by October 31st, is that what you said?
Yes.
Tom?
Right, there was some
And that they
kind,
would remove whatever materials that have been extracted through the blasting by April of 2020, so.
Yeah, it says, and all on-site processing of blasted material by April 30th, 2020.
Well, I mean, and that's what brings me back to the point of the blasting code being more stringent and being more comprehensive, because you do have this sort of loophole where there are people who are getting away with, pretty bad things, and residents who've had to write letters and complain with their wells and so forth and so on. And not to have a code extent in the town that would protect the residents and so forth in terms of noise, lighting, and so forth. These are all quality of life issues. But I was. If they had a DEC permit, they at least what could have been done is to address the DEC, because the DEC has halted mining in various towns in New York for a whole variety of reasons. But I again urge that you look at that blasting, and you look at the mine, and look at some of the sections in the DEC code, which are pretty good. Maybe could be superimposed on the blasting code later on.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Board? Make a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll move on. There's nothing on the work session this evening. The regular meeting portion, I make a motion to open the meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Waive the reading of the correspondence. Approve of the voucher list, $838,088.16. So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Setting meeting dates and public hearings. All meetings to be held at 1360 Route 22, Brewster, New York, at 7 p.m. unless otherwise noted. Thursday, December 5, 2019, and Thursday, December 19th, 2019. So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Waive the reading of the budget transfers.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. After many, many, many years, Milan Road is going to become a dedicated road to the town. And that's up at Terabest Corporate Park where NICEC is located. Now therefore it be resolved, the supervisor of the town of Southeast is hereby authorized to accept the deed or deeds dedicating and releasing the necessary lands for the road known as Milan Drive, running from Geneva Road up to and including the cul-de-sac, and cause same to be recorded in the Putnam County Clerk's office in connection with the commercial development known as Terabest International Corporate Park, upon the developer/owners having fulfilled the following terms and conditions. 1. The road shall be completed in accordance with all town highway road construction specifications and in a manner satisfactory to the town's consultant engineers and the town's highway superintendent. 2. The developer/owners shall provide a deed or deeds of dedication for all portions of such road being dedicated to the town, necessary to convey fee simple title to the lands underneath the road of the town of Southeast, free and clear of all liens or encumbrances except for utility easements. And 3, the developer owner shall provide the town with all necessary and proper easements, if any, across adjoining lands for the purpose of drainage or discharge of storm water from the dedicated portion of the road over such adjoining lands. And 4, the developer shall provide a title insurance policy issued by a company which is a member of the New York Board of Title Underwriters in good standing, ensuring the town's fee simple title in and to such road as described in the deed of the dedication in the amount of $10,000, and be further resolved that upon compliance with the foregoing conditions and in accordance with the provisions of Section 171 Highway Law of the State of New York, consent is hereby given that the Highway Superintendent of the Town of Southeast make order laying out the aforesaid town highway, the town highway to consist of lands described in the deed of dedication, and be further resolved that upon compliance with the aforesaid conditions and upon posting the appropriate maintenance bond, the town clerk is authorized to record the deed or deeds dedication in the Putnam County Clerk's office. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 6 has been deferred, that's Shaneland Lane, that's off of Welfare Road. They're going for their approval with the planning board on Monday night. I thought it was last Monday night, that's what I put on the agenda this evening. So that's deferred until next meeting.
And also Lori's not here.
Pardon?
And also Lori's not here.
Oh, we don't do it, we can do it. Okay, number 7, resolution, settlement of certiorari proceedings, Kojaks Construction LLC, tax map ID number 57.2-29. Now therefore be resolved that the town board of the town of Southeast does hereby accept the recommendations of its professional advisors and authorize the town attorney to execute a stipulation of settlement, consent judgment, and/or order on consent in accordance with said recommendation for the following. Petitioner, Kojaks Construction LLC, tax ID 57.2-29, year 2019, assessment $2,060,400, settled assessment $2 million. And be further resolved that the town attorney is hereby authorized and directed to execute any and all stipulations, consent orders, or other documents necessary to reflect the foregoing settlement. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion.
Where is this?
Which one? Kojaks Construction. I don't know the location. Told you tax map, you can look it up tomorrow. 57.2-29.
So you'll come back at the next meeting and
No,
tell
I
me
will
where it
not
is?
tell you. You can look it up tomorrow. Go to our website. All in favor?
Aye.
John? Aye? I didn't-
I don't know where it is. I can't.
John, I could look it up real quick, if you want. I'm almost there.
Isn't everything on Route 22?
And this is the building on the corner of Milltown and 22, where Ross Optical used to
Yep.
be, or is.
Okay,
Right up corner, on the
Yep.
right.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Should we write that in the resolution for now? Where exactly? Okay,
Well, I usually ask where it is.
okay. Should have asked before the meeting, we'd have found out.
Well, Gloria was here.
Well, I
Okay,
know if Lori was here, she would have told me.
she's
I
got the night
figure
off.
she knows what she's doing, so we don't need to know where it is. Maybe we passed stuff that was in Patterson, I don't know.
Maybe there's a lot of things that we should know, but we don't.
Yeah, well, that's true, definitely.
Well, if you don't know, ask.
I
Okay.
just did, didn't I?
Yes, you did. A little late, though.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Eric.
Eric, for having your computer with you.
You're welcome.
And you got one here, too?
But I don't have the
I
code.
know. We'll let the expert do it. Okay. Resolution, number 8, refuse district renewal of contract for refuse collection and removal from residential properties.
Too much fun.
Now therefore be resolved that the town board of the town of Southeast hereby finds and determines that in the best interest of the town to exercise the option to renew or extend the contract for a 2-year period commencing on January 1, 2020 and ending on December 31st, 2021, on the same terms and conditions contained in the contract, and be further resolved that the supervisor be and is hereby is authorized to execute any and all contracts, agreements, notices, extensions, or other memorandums necessary to memorialize the terms hereon for a contract term of 2 years commencing January 1, 2020, and ending December 31st, 2021. And it has built into the contract cost of living increase at the maximum of 3%. So it was figured into the budget. I put in 2.5% because that's better than averaging for next year. I think they do a good job. There's some concern with some residents about co-mingling. I was told by the county they're gonna be looking into co-mingling and a better handle on recycling in the future, and we'll look forward to it. But I think they've done a good job.
I need a second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, number 9 is the supervisor's financial report. As you know, we just got done with the budget. The budget last year was good. We're really in good shape, except for the courts, where the revenues are shortfall, like I said, for quite some time, with $200,000. I've revised that next year's budget, and hopefully they'll bring in some more revenues, and we'll be over a little bit. But right now, the budget's fine. And Lynn, I know you're gonna be out there next year saying, where's the supervisor's
I'm taking a
report?
breather.
Okay. Recognition of the public. Recognition of the board.
I would just like to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving and safe travels if you're going out of town.
Okay, another appeal? Okay.
Sorry, just wanted to find out, or I wanted to tell you, Eric and I met with people from Tenell Lake and the Tenell Lake Advisory Board about the geese situation and also about other matters concerning the lake. And it was a good meeting, and we left with the understanding that everyone would be working together next year, and the plan is to addle the eggs of the geese, and that is how I think we're going to go forward.
Well, there's going to be numerous things on the board. That's going to be one of about 5 things we're going to do that we did not do this year.
Right.
And
So,
you can relay that at the next meeting, we
Good.
discuss it.
and also, I attended a traffic safety board this evening, and I brought to their attention the supervisor's suggestion that a light be placed at the intersection of Route 121 and Route 6. It's a dangerous location, and the DOT representative there, Lisa Mondello, said that we should put together a resolution and present it to DOT so that they can do a study and go forward with it. But
You got to be there next meeting.
most of the people that were there, that were still there, it was a long meeting, thought that it was a good idea, and I think only Lynn is is opposed. 'cause she-
Who? Lynn Eckhart?
No,
No.
I love taking a chance there, that's all.
you know, I told them it's almost like playing chicken when you
Yeah, it is.
to that
No.
road. It's,
No, I do think.
Now, it's getting really, I mean,
I
I'm
know,
telling you
it's
now.
very hard to judge when
You're
you're.
talking about, you're going to consortium for the 684 and
Yes.
whatever, the traffic in this town is really getting out of hand.
Yeah.
And that Route 6 corridor, I'm telling you now, when I come out of my old store, sometimes it takes me a minute. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're sitting there waiting for the traffic to go by and they're whizzing by, it has gotten super, super busy. It's really crazy the amount of traffic there now.
And I did forward, just so everyone knows, the last consortium meeting,
Yes.
I forwarded it, I just got it today, and I did forward it to everyone. So you'll work
Okay.
out who goes to that.
thank you.
Well, thank you for bringing it up, and we'll have a resolution for the next meeting.
Great.
Okay, just a reminder again, please, ladies and gentlemen, put 911 numbers on. We're still getting, the false alarms this month were a little bit better, but they're still pretty poor. So the recommendation, if you have a fire alarm in your house and it goes off, you're cooking toast and you don't need the fire department, what you should do, knowing that the alarm is calling the fire department, that's 911, dial 911, say, my alarm went off, it was accidental. Now, they'll still send out possibly the fly car of the fire department, but they may not send out the apparatus. We have to do everything we can, humanly possible, to make sure that the fire department doesn't go out to all these false alarms. So if you trip it accidentally and you call 911, say I was burning my toast, there's no real alarm, they still probably send someone out, but they may not send out the apparatus. So please do that if you set off a false alarm. And again, happy Thanksgiving all. I'll entertain a motion, unless someone else has something to say. Entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion to close tonight's meeting.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.